God damn it feels good to be back, man. Diamond K, I need you tonight to roll with me on this because I'm solo. Prayers to Jennifer. She's got to hold down the family and the fort and things like that. But we here, man, after a few weeks and going in.
Yep. So everything's good.
Yes. So before I went out,
March Madness coming up.
March Madness is coming up. Let me write that down real quick.
Because it's on my list. March Madness is on my list. I know it would have been on your list. You just forgot because there's so much other stuff.
I forgot. And the NCAA has never been my friend. I was a registered NCAA athlete at one point, believe it or not.
So that's why.
60 pounds ago. And none of the people that I've ever played sports with are fans of the NCAA. It is almost criminal what is going on in the NCAA, and that's something else that,
as far as the way you treat the athletes,
the way to treat not even the way to treat the athletes, it's just the practices that go on, the inconsistencies and the obvious imbalance of things. So the NCAA, it's a $1 billion industry, $1 billion company.
Yeah.
And this is not even where I wanted to go, but a $1 billion company, right? That is a non-profit. It's a not-for-profit organization, but all it does is make profit. The NCAA is not legally bound to any university, more so the university's program. So if a university bellies up and it goes under, the NCAA faces no repercussions. It has no problems. How is it that this has even come about? And if you think about the structure of it and you think about the longevity of the NCAA, it had to have only formed by the most powerful people in this country. They created a way to regulate sports betting and the people and their enthusiasm in this country.
Yep.
And I've been an avid person. I'm not going to lie. Even in high school, I was an avid person. I was an avid fan of Penn State University. There was a guy that when I played in high school, Matt Hahn, big football. He was an athlete, went to St. Anthony's in New York, #1 recruit. They signed him, my man Rich Ornberger, who wound up playing for the Patriots, went to Penn State. I wanted to go to Penn State. Like a lot of guys that came from the area that I came from, we didn't have the resources that they had. We didn't have the recruitment that they had, but we were just talented enough, if not better, than they were. And I'll bring my point home when I talk about my man Corliss. But Penn State, I loved Penn State. I had a great affinity for it. I didn't go there. Cool. Later in the years, my man Andrew Corliss went there, played tight end, 5-star recruit, from my hometown, balled out for the city, wound up going to the Packers, winning the Super Bowl, went to Penn State. So I love Penn State and what it did for him and anybody else and all them guys. But everything that went down with Sandusky was terrible. And I was avid on that as a professional, as a social worker, to say that was wrong. And when you look at what the NCAA did to them for that, it was very minuscule. They didn't vacate any Joe Paz wins, which would have put him underneath Eddie Robinson, who was a black man who at the time had the winningest record in college football. They didn't do anything of that. They didn't vacate any wins. They didn't do anything that they did to other schools like the SMUs, like the Miamis, anything like that. And the NCAA has shown that historically they only care about finances. They don't care about the morality of what a program is doing. Michigan State is under fire, basketball and football, for the rape culture, the lack of reporting, the connection to the doctor, all of the scandals. Nothing is really happening. And I feel bad for some of the coaches because you know what's going on. You know the culture of things. You can't be everywhere. You can't be everywhere, try to win and keep your job and do the right thing. It's such a moral jousting. But the NCAA has shown that they only care about finances. And on top of that, they still have not figured out a way to play to pay the players. And it's funny, this argument continues to come up. They don't want to. This argument continues to come up in the sense that people argue, well, these guys are getting a scholarship. They're getting free room and board. But the reality is a lot of these guys come in and they're not academically prepared for where they're going. Right. You know, we got to realize that they're the guys that are going to the Alabamas, the Michigan States, that are on 10th grade reading levels. But because of their talent, they're getting in there. And 40 to 45 years ago, they weren't even allowed to play at your school. They had to go to Morgan. They had to go to Delaware State. They had to go to Alabama A&M. They had to go to Georgia. They had to go to Southern. They had to go to Grambling. You know, these places that Doug Williams went to, that Jerry Rice went to, that John Taylor went to, that all these brothers went to, that not only helped these men matriculate as students, but as men and as people of their culture that are now suffering because they can't get these athletes. ESPN is giving us a bone here and there by airing our games, but they're not really giving us the coverage that we need. So, again, I go back to the money. The NCAA doesn't want to pay these athletes. And a lot of people really don't realize what it means to be a student athlete. You're literally working a full-time job. And see, the funny thing is you only hear people talk about the major sports. We forget to realize there's volleyball, there's track, there's baseball, there's equestrian, there's all types of sports where people are dedicating their lives and their livelihood to playing these sports and doing what they need to do. And it's crazy because the average student can go to school and work and have a part-time job and do the things that they want to do. Thank you, my brother. Do the things that they want to do. But as a student athlete, you can't even hold down a job. And then people don't even realize. I mean, look at a guy like
you can't get paid.
You can't get paid. Look at a guy like a Wes Welker or I can't think of somebody else who walked on. John Taylor at Delaware State University walked on. You got people that are chasing the dream that can't even get the dream. And then it's like 75% of college athletes do not go to professional sport. Wrestlers, I think, are some of the bastards of the NCAA because they wrestle and they go so hard for the scholarship. It's a mentally and physically draining sport, and there's no end of the road for them. Now you have the UFC, but I remember even when I was wrestling in high school, I said, I'm not messing with the wrestling game. You know, what future would I have professionally? And then the UFC was taking off, and a lot of guys were going into that. And you see that now, a lot of guys are going from Division 1, 2, 3 wrestling into the UFC, and they're making their bones that way. But even that is a rat race. So it's like when you look at the NCAA and their track record, and we're speaking about March Madness coming up, which is going to generate them millions of dollars. They stopped having so much likeliness with the players on video games because they know they owe people some money. But, you know, it's really a shame, man, that they have not figured out a way to give these kids some of this money. If the NCAA is $1 billion corporation and is not for profit, where is the money going? Where is the money going? The TV deals, the revenue, it's more than enough money to be cycled back into the students' hands. And people like to think about, oh, well, do we pay the money sports? Look, it don't even have to be a lot of money. You know, as you can say, they're getting a scholarship. Well, hell, give them a stipend. The same way that the Peace Corps or Job Corps or not Job Corps, Peace Corps or other organizations are able to give their kids stipends. Give them $4,500. Give them $2,300. Give them something. You know, and with more and more now seeing how NBA athletes, NFL athletes are saying, yeah, I got boosted money. I know of people, Diamond K, who played lacrosse at non-lacrosse schools in the 80s that got money from boosters. Let's take an Ohio State, for example. Ohio State has never been a lacrosse school. Never been a lacrosse dominant school. But I know people personally that know people or saw it or had participation in it that got money from boosters for playing lacrosse in the 80s.
In the late 80s?
In the early to mid 80s. They're not even a lacrosse school today. So imagine if they actually won in lacrosse the way that they went in football and kind of remotely in basketball. So the funny thing is, if you think about it, and this is all I'm going to say about it, if you think about it, when these kids get caught up in the scandals, the kids get ran through the mud, but you don't never hear nothing about the boosters. It's been one or two occasions in the USC, I don't even think it's USC, definitely in the Miami Hurricane situation where you've heard about the boosters, and only heard about the booster in that instance in the Miami Hurricane situation. Can't remember his name, but because he was involved in a Ponzi scheme. But more times than none, you rarely ever hear about the boosters. The kids get dragged through the mud, and the boosters remain involved in the program. The NCAA has a major problem. You have athletes that are not guaranteed a fortune. They're not guaranteed to utilize their education the right way, which data and statistics shows, and they're not being paid. And there's a bad way of how money is being exchanged and turned over time and time again. And they need to really focus on it. With that said, March Madness is around the corner. Seeds and brackets are being developed. Good basketball is coming around. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I have no favorites. I haven't really been on top of it the way I should be, but it is what it is. It's March.
Still excited for it, though.
I'm still excited for it just because I love the raw competition of it, and it's kind of like the NBA. It don't get exciting to the playoffs, kind of. You know what I mean? So March Madness is definitely dope. The upsets, just watching the kids do what they do and play hard is always dope. It's March, and it's also Social Work Month, so that's always dope for me. Give your local social worker a hug and tell them you love them. But going back to Valentine's Day, last show we had was pre-Valentine's Day. Went to the comedy show. Ty Davis held it down. The brothers that we had on the show prior to that had a great show. It was a great turnout. The crowd was very forgiving. I'm going to say that. They were very forgiving and understanding. The first comic that started out he's a young guy who admittingly said he has turned away from the life of the streets and is trying comedy, which was very positive. But for a long time, the crowd didn't really know where he was going, but they were very engaged and very supportive, and I thought it was completely dope. I thought the whole presence of the show was dope. I had a good time, man, and it was a good show. Valentine's Day came and went. Ty Davis was on the money, funny as hell, as usual. I mean, and I watched her from when she opened up at the Comedy Factory, and you could tell she was nervous on stage. But I mean, now she is just on fire, man. And it's amazing because you got this town that has so many talented people. You got, and just talking in comedy, between Jess Hilarious, who, some people, I don't really know what too many people say about her. I find her entertaining. I find that she's made a way in a lane for herself. I mean, I didn't even watch the Breakfast Club interview with this person, but Monique, like it or hate her, she's made her way. She's made her bones from the city. Jada Pinkett made her way from the city. And this is people that are coming off the top of my head. Ty Davis, in my opinion, is the next one. I mean, her comedy is pretty good. And I wouldn't be surprised, man, that she makes it up there sometime soon. And it's going to be pretty dope to kind of watch somebody come up from the ranks and get in there. I mean, I know you've had her in the studio sometime, right? So it's going to be pretty dope. I think she's the next one up there. But shout out to Jennifer Pope in the event that she did for feeding the homeless on Valentine's Day. Her and her sister went out of their way, to get gift bags and food bags and things like that for the homeless people of Baltimore City on Valentine's Day. Yeah, man. Yeah, and every year this comes around, I'm never prepared to give them donations. I feel terrible. I feel like a scumbag, but you know, they did what they did, and they got it popping, and they reached at least over 100 people on Valentine's Day, and it's a key moment because everyone usually works on Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, things like that. You know, they wanted to spread love on Valentine's Day, which was dope. So I definitely wanted to big her up on that. Typically she would be here, but you know, she had other responsibilities to do. Getting into some more serious topics. Had a school shooting in Florida.
Yeah, sucks.
Had a school shooting in Florida. Kid had an AR-15. Went in AR. Yeah, he had an AR assault rifle. I don't know the caliber. I don't know the brand. I don't know any of that. I didn't
Definitely
get into
an
it.
assault rifle.
Definitely assault rifle.
A weapon of war.
Weapon of war. Mass shooting. In Florida, Broward County. It was terrible. And the one thing I want to talk about before I go into Agent Orange, who is our president, the FBI flagged this dude. The FBI was watching this guy. The FBI knew about this guy. And then when you look into what his neighbor across the street said, and how he killed squirrels, he harmed and killed her dog. It was reported to the authorities, and nothing happened to this guy. You know, and these are the makings of a serial killer. Killing the animals, you know, the continual killing and harm of animals, no remorse. The FBI has him on the watch list. We have a problem.
Definitely.
And then going into that, our president thinks it's a great idea to arm school teachers with weapons. Also had the audacity to say that if he was there, and you know what? I always say this on this show. Donald Trump is the biggest hustler to come out of New York City, and he's very careful with his word. He said, you know, if I was there, I believe that I would have went in there. I believe that I would have done something, armed or not. How sick can you be to literally say that at this time where children were killed, teachers were killed, all because a student, for whatever reason, decided to do this?
Former student.
Yep. And Donald Trump, a man who didn't want to go to war.
5 deferments.
Didn't want to go to war. Granted, I don't believe in the concept of war every time that it comes up, but you didn't feel it pertinent then to sacrifice for other people. How now, as a millionaire, do you expect our populace of people to believe that you would have went in there? And the sad part is his supporting base really believes him.
Yeah, unfortunately, they believe anything that he says. They just believe him.
And yet another one of his staffers, his communications person, resigns. Mm-hmm. The office is crumbling in front of us.
She's the last person, aside from his kids, that was involved in, you know,
from the beginning.
Right.
The office is crumbling. Mueller is digging in them cheeks. The people are dropping like flies. What is it going to take? On the one hand, and I'm going to get back to the school shooting. On the one hand, I'm very cynical about this. I don't believe that a damn thing is going to happen until it happens. But on the other hand, I'm getting rather excited because the chips are falling. The chess pieces are falling.
Oh, it's definitely falling.
Something is going on. I just, you know, it's just kind of funny though that for Bill Clinton, it didn't take this long for his feet to really be held to the fire. But Trump is into way more savagery. And it's just amazing. But he wants to give the school teachers guns. I don't get it. Idaho passed a bill allowing blind people to register for guns. What is with America and our guns? You know, I was in France. I'm gonna talk about this later. I was abroad, you know, this past week, and I noticed Border Patrol police officers walking around without weapons. I watched the Italian police officers walk around with the smallest caliber of pistol you can walk around with. I mean, just a notch above a 22. Just a notch above. You see what I'm saying? We not talking about military assault rifles. Granted, in Rome, around their national buildings, they have full-out military people. But that's military people. We're not talking about police. We're talking about our country and guns and everyday citizens. This guy believes it's a good idea to arm teachers. And right after that, we now have a teacher that is allegedly open fired on some students and is being investigated.
Right. Let alone the officer that was scared to go into the school, and then when he had backup, three more that came, so a total of 4.
Yes.
Scared to go in the building because they were outgunned and cowards. But I think that 4 armed officers could have taken, regardless of the fact that he had an AR-15, train people, 4 of them. He can't shoot all 4 of y'all.
He might.
Yeah, I mean, he's just going to spray.
That's a risk.
It's a risk, but I think they could have took him out.
Well, yeah. The bigger question is too.
But we'll never know because they were outside, scared.
But then the other thing is, how was he apprehended?
So he left the AR-15 and slipped out with the kids because he was a kid himself.
Right.
But he went to Walmart, went and bought some food, just lounging around, and ended up getting caught.
And that's the sad piece.
Apprehended very
smoothly.
Very smoothly.
Same thing with Dylan Roof.
Here's the thing. You're not in fear for your life. This motherfucker just killed 17 people, injured over 20. But y'all ain't in fear for your life. But one of our brothers out selling cigarettes. You in fear for your life. Y'all kill him.
Yeah.
You know, unarmed people in the car. Somebody saying, "Hey, I got a gun in the glove box."
Registered.
You in fear for your life, but this person just murders 17 people and injures over 20 others.
Yes.
Y'all ain't no fear. Just that's crazy to me.
And I hate it. I hate to think about it and talk about it, but the propaganda is real, man. When you think about it and you look at the media reaction, trouble kid, you know, all of this other stuff. This is American terrorism at its finest. It is a repeat example of American terrorism. A white male youth murders multiple people and gets a pass. Brothers get killed unarmed, registered armed, not hurting anybody. And the rhetoric, the media rhetoric that comes from it somehow is able to damn these people. And people wonder why we as a people of this culture have the disdain, have the vitriol, hurt and passion and hate that we have. It is completely unreal. It is completely unreal. And it's a sad moment. And I commend those young people in Broward County, Florida.
They doing their thing.
Who are mobilizing. And you know,
they got a march coming up.
Got a march coming up. And the other thing is too, man, like I've said this on this show time and time again. The ATF in this country has not been equipped to do their job, seemingly by plan, because the way that we have, it was funny, and I'm jumping in and out of talking about Europe, and I'm going to talk about it in full force. But it was funny that my girlfriend and I were in the car with 2 local people from London, and she's the native-born Baltimorean. I'm the implant. But I know more about the city than she does. I mean, that's just a fact of the nature. You know, people born in the cities, they stay to where they know, and that's about it. Yeah. But she told these people, she said, yeah, and they're looking at her as this dainty, beautiful. I'm not gonna say she was well spoken at the time because she was a little drunk, so she was telling it like it is. But she literally said to them, you know, as we were talking about politics in America, and we're hearing this from the British perspective, and how crazy Trump sounds, and how crazy the violence is. We had to look at them and say, we live in the most violent city in the nation. Mm-hmm. And they looked at her like, nah, no way. We're like, yeah, we live in the most violent city in the nation. Because they said something to the effect that they had like 20 murders last year or something. And they proceeded to tell us down McKay that, you know, London seems safe, but it's a lot of stabbings. And we was like, yeah, we had 347 murders last year. 348, you know. A lot of these are violent shootings. Mm-hmm. Where is the action? You know, and it's sad because what is going on in Broward County is going to impact everyone else around the country. But we've already known there's been a problem. Mm-hmm. We've seen the Chicago's. We've seen the Little Rocks. We've seen the Baltimore's. We've seen the Richmond, California. Mm-hmm. We've seen all of that. When are we going to line up and say we have to protect our people? And it was funny. I was watching in London. They had a professor from Loyola. I can't remember her name, but she talked about how the Supreme Court is to blame. The Supreme Court is setting out to protect. Huh?
You talking about for the guns?
Yes. Yeah. She said the Supreme Court is to blame because the Supreme Court is protecting the Second Amendment, but is not protecting the people who need protection from the guns. You can protect the Second Amendment, but when are you going to protect the people from the guns?
I think that interpretation of the Constitution is warped. So the First Amendment. Let's look at the First Amendment. Yeah. Right, freedom of speech. Mm-hmm. But it comes with clause. Mm-hmm. Right. You can't yell fire in a crowded room.
Can't yell bomb on a plane.
Can't draw bomb. These are exceptions. Mm-hmm. Now we go to the Second Amendment. There has to be exceptions here. Mm-hmm. It's not any weapon. A bazooka, you can't have a bazooka. Machine guns are illegal because the gangsters in the 30s and 20s was lighting the police up and they were outgunned. Yep. And they outlawed it. And the AR-15 should be something that's used by military people.
Military only.
That's it. You can't hunt with that.
No.
Like, you will completely cut up what you're trying to kill.
Absolutely.
You know, you need a rifle that's single shot. You can't be, pumping all those bullets into something you're trying to hunt.
You got nothing.
The AR-15 is a weapon of war used to kill as many people as possible for one soldier in a battle.
We don't even fight wars that way anymore.
No, it's old.
We don't even fight wars that way anymore. And you're absolutely right. And, back to the First Amendment, like Big Pun said, the First Amendment is culturally biased. When you look at the videos of Tupac having to stand in front of lawyers about his lyrics and because some kid shot a cop somewhere, having to justify his freedom of speech, his perspective to lawyers and this legal system, it's insane. It's insane. Sure. But we have a major problem, man. And shout out to those kids down in Broward County. But speaking of teachers, I want to talk about this real quick. I don't remember the city. The city escapes me right now. But a beautiful white female teacher, from the pictures that I saw, can be no more than 28, had sex with an 8th grade boy. And I've been on this show time and time again talking about the dynamic of female teachers having sex with these young boys. And I'll be honest with you, man, and I've been open to say this. I do not remember teachers doing this when I was growing up. You concurred, and a lot of us have. What is going on in the water? What is going on in the system that these female teachers are doing this at this rate and it's beyond the sexualized aspect of it, right, Dom? Okay, these teachers are getting into full-fledged relationships with young boys.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's literally the reverse of, or the inverse of, the Lolita syndrome.
Butterfugo.
Yeah.
Joey Butterfugo.
Oh man, I forgot about that. I was a young cat when that when that happened. But it is literally the inverse of this. These teachers are getting jammed up. They're having these long drawn out affairs with these cats, meeting them in parking lots, behind the school.
Yeah,
I mean,
crazy.
yo, what is really going on? Like 8th grade? I'm trying to figure out. I don't remember getting busy like that 8th grade. Like I know I did some things, but to get with a 26-year-old to 28-year-old grown woman, what is going on in the water out there? and the crazy thing is like, as a society, right? We talk about pedophilia, we talk about rape culture, we talk about harassment. Have you seen anything thus far, Dominic, from mothers across the country, fathers across the country, professionals across the country, that is addressing this aspect of pedophilia when it comes to
women,
young boys being assaulted by women?
No. I think it probably happens far less than it does with males, and it's just not on the radar like that.
I don't know that, and we could speculate that it happens far less simply from pure genetics alone. Physically, it's more likely to happen. But what we're seeing now, and this is what I'm trying to say, what we're seeing now is frequently more. I mean, in the last 6 months, there's been at least 40 cases, 30 to 40.
That's still less.
Maybe, yeah, but
it's still even so.
But
it's still less than
But this is what we know.
Yeah,
this is what we know, and you got to question, how long has this happened before we really knew? See, these teachers only getting jammed up now because they're getting sloppy. But we've seen the instances with the Spanish cat. Had the baby at 14 that was on ABC. We've seen these instances, and we've seen the sympathy that America had and the media had for that lady that had kids by that 14-year-old cat.
The lady that went to jail?
I think she did.
And I think they got back together when he got out.
Exactly.
So, in that instance, I guess they really loved each other, though.
Is it love at 14, 16?
Well, I think that times change, but most of our grandparents got married young like that.
18.
Nah, I think a lot of them got married under 18.
Depending on when
15
it was.
and 16. They was having kids.
Depending on when it was, you had to be 18 unless you're talking about post-slavery times.
No, I mean, my grandmother is 91, and she had her first, 15 or 16.
Yeah, and I mean, but then also, too, you also got to remember.
My mother had me at 17.
You also got to remember, too, though, the life expectancy for the people around your grandmother's age was like
it was
40,
higher
50.
for the women. No, the women.
Higher for the women, but not for the men.
The men, it was low.
Yeah, for the men. For the men was like, I gotta shoot my shot.
Well, it's like these dudes going off to war. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was more so like that.
I gotta shoot my shot now.
Yeah.
Or forever hold my peace. Like, you know what I mean? But today, we talking about the inverse of things, and it's just crazy because we're not seeing that spectrum get talked about as much. It's not even being addressed.
No.
It's
not that serious to him.
I've been on the show for maybe over 6 months talking about it. We'll see.
You have mentioned it a lot.
We're gonna see what happens.
It's bothering you.
It's not. No.
Is it the double standard?
No, it's a double standard that doesn't technically bother me because I know it exists. So I can't be bothered by something that I already know. But I'm just waiting to see what is it going to take. It's just like I was telling somebody earlier today. I remember when Mothers Against Drunk Driving came out. That wasn't a big issue until it affected everybody's community. Same thing with drugs. And now we have this opioid and we paying attention to all this stuff. But you walk out here in this city and you watch somebody leaning 3 feet from touching the curb. It's been like that for over 30 years, but it hasn't been a problem until now. So I'm just wondering, what is it going to take for people to see that this is an issue? Because in my older age, to understand, we've talked and joked about it. I know that if I was in high school and that went down, culturally, I probably wouldn't have said anything. Would it have made it right? No. But it's wrong. And I'm just wondering what it will take for people in society to understand that to protect our girls, we also have to protect our boys. And we have to teach them simultaneously what is right and what is wrong. Because hurt people. So every little boy that we do not educate on what is right to interact with the opposite sex,
that's true.
You create that monster by leaving it out to dry.
That's true. I never thought about it like that. That's true.
You have to. You literally have to think about it, that every time a young boy's story goes neglected. I mean, look at Richard Pryor's situation. Look at Richard Pryor and how they talked about, how he talked about how he's molested as a kid and how he grew up to not really have a great identity of things. His life was a spiral. If you listen to everything when he got drunk and shot up his car and the different things that he's done, he felt a lot of pain. He went through a lot of trauma. And me and Jennifer talk about that on this show all the time. If we do not protect our boys, every young man that we lose is liable to hurt our young ladies. And that's why I tell people all the time, I could have been anything else in the world professionally, but I chose to be a mentor. I chose to be a mental health professional because I know that if I can try to help a young boy, that's one less guy I think I got to worry about my kid. And vice versa. Who knows what these young girls are doing to these boys? Who knows what these women are doing when they're raising their sons? Who knows? I've seen various examples. I've seen various things happen. It's a cycle. It's a never-ending cycle.
True.
Switching to a lighter note. Because of my girl Ty Davis, I did not know that Black China had a sex tape of sorts.
I love Black China.
We know. I'm not a fan. Never been a fan of hers. I felt like she was a lesser version of Lauren London. She has a lot of Botox, a lot of plastic surgery, at the expense of the Kardashians, who are some sick people already. At the expense of my man Rob Kardashian, who has professed his love and anxiety and hurt over her. She had a sex tape.
As she should.
It was terrible.
No, it wasn't.
I don't think it was. Let me rephrase that. It wasn't terrible. It was natural. It was generic. Duke that was involved in the tape was engaged in it. He was having fun, but I think he was trying to carry her in this. She was lazy. I'm a kid. How can you defend your girl on this lazy whackness of action that she produced? And I didn't see the full tape because I heard it was more to it. I just saw the part where she was giving the dome as if she was afraid. I don't understand. Now, here's the thing that I have a problem with. Right? We have various celebrities that have come out and said that Blac Chyna has serviced them. One of my favorites from the West Coast, Game, said Blac Chyna gave him the bomb head. Game. I don't see how that's possible based on evidence presented to me. Unless she was extremely tired.
That means nothing.
What do you mean?
All right. A lot of times pretty girls can be lazy because they're so pretty they used to other
feel
people
like they
doing
ain't
all the
gotta do
work.
shit. Yep.
Now, let's keep in mind. I'm
Black
glad we
China's
don't,
up
I'm
there
glad we
pretty,
don't have
though.
any women here because they'd be mad at this statement.
Yeah, let's go. That
So-
case going in. Let's go.
During sex,
Mm-hmm.
most of the time, we doing the work.
All the time.
We flipping them over. We turning them around.
All the time.
We raising the leg. We doing all the work.
All the time.
They just get fucked. We
All the
do
time.
the fucking.
All the time.
And then when they want to half-ass fuck you back, right?
Yeah.
That's fine. But we're still doing the fucking.
Yes.
We are still inserting, and you women are being inserted into.
80% of the time.
So now, generally speaking, a lot of times they come in with this philosophy of I'm going to lay here and he's going to do whatever he's going to do.
And I'm going to get mine.
Right. And even if a woman doesn't want to have sex, I'm going to lay here, I'm going to let him get his shit off, and then he's going to get the fuck off me. Like, that's their mentality.
Absolutely.
Which means that they are expecting the man to do the work. So if the sex is whack, then it's because the man
Failed to
arouse her. Now, a lot of times a girl can be like, I ain't gonna do shit, I don't wanna do shit, but you can turn her on and a light switch can hit and then she's more into it. Now, how many times have you been in a situation where you're fucking for a long time and it starts to get old? Like, okay, now I wanna, I'm ready to stop. I got a cramp. The rubber drying out, shit's getting dry. Like, you know what I mean? It's just the fan is on, the shit's drying out, whatever, the air, whatever it is.
Gotta stop.
You know what I'm saying? It's time to stop. Your dick's raw now. It's just, I need to stop.
It's done.
So let's say when the time when your dick was raw, because you've been fucking for a long time,
Right.
the camera comes on now.
No, it
No,
doesn't.
I'm just saying, let's
no,
pretend.
no, I have to stop you. I was with you
listen,
because we never
I'm
break the
flipping it.
camera out
I'm flipping
in those
flipping.
moments.
No. Let's say that before the sex got old, the sex was fucking great.
But you just didn't have the camera out.
No, the camera's been out the whole time. We've been taping the whole session. But all of a sudden, now it's later into the session. And that's the part that got leaked.
But we don't have that evidence.
I'm just saying.
We don't have that evidence yet.
This is hypotheticals. Hypotheticals.
Black China
is no virgin. Black China ain't no virgin.
You're going to bat for your love. You're going to bat for your
Black
love.
China ain't no virgin.
But here's the thing.
She's fucked a lot of dudes. She's fucked most of the people on the charts.
But listen, your other girl, Nicki Minaj.
Yes.
When her news leaked, those were some nudes. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why. Right? She had the joints with the babies over her. Okay, she put in that work. She had the time. If I'm Black China, okay, at this point, if it's better product to be shown, I'm getting in front of this thing.
But here's the thing: Black China
get the real footage out there.
Black China did not leak these.
That's what I'm saying. She needs to get in front of this.
She's trying to. Now, Black China did not leak this.
What is she trying to do now?
Because if Black China leaked it, she would have leaked her best performance. You have had bad performances, as have I. Every guy has had a bad performance.
Everybody has.
Every guy. You know what I mean? If you get so excited, you finally getting this girl, the shit could end early. You know what I mean? The shit can end early. So it just, before you was able to understand that this is a mind control thing and imagine your strokes, you didn't know.
But the camera was in her face.
And so
she should have performed.
But this was for them. This is what Black China's a lie, or China says is a lie. However, what she said about this is true. She thought this was some shit just for them. This is not some shit she thought was gonna come out.
So is she alleging that her partner leaked it?
Yeah, or he's saying somebody else leaked it.
So what I'm wondering is like
he leaked that shit.
One of them had. And we've already.
It wasn't her because it makes her look bad. He don't look bad. It's her, and so she's too vain. She's too vanity driven to leak something purposely that makes her look bad.
Well,
because Kim shit was popping.
Which Kim?
Kim Kardashian. Her shit was popping. That's how she blew up.
It was all right.
It got her popping.
It definitely did the job. But here's the thing. I put Black China in the category of Corinne Steffens.
No way. Did you see Corinne Steffens in action?
Exactly.
She got busy.
Exactly. And Corinne Steffens was always ready.
But here's the difference.
Always ready, Freddie.
Corinne Steffens,
Superhead.
that's her claim to fame.
So Black China.
It's not her claim to fame.
Yeah, it is.
Her claim to fame, Black China is a dancer from DC.
Right.
Before she got in the Hollywood circles, she was doing like the soft porn videos, like the in the tub, all the oil.
Same as Superhead.
That type of thing. The video girl type thing.
Superhead was one of the original video
But
vixens.
here's the difference. Superhead is called Superhead.
But
some of these girls just be playing.
But here is my point, Diamond K. The difference between Superhead and Black China. Black China, Superhead sacrificed so that those like Black China can have a lane. And what Superhead did was she remained vigilant. She was always ready. And she always performed. You never heard of an instance.
I think we're going overboard with this.
Nah.
We saw 2 tapes with Superhead. That's it. So for those 2 tapes, we can't say she always was. I'm sure that she had a lazy performance. You know how when the girls land on the bed and they put their one arm up like this and they do the lazy head.
I don't see it, man. I don't see it.
I'm sure that she's a human being.
I don't see it.
She's a human.
There's some people. Listen, there's some people that traffic narcotics, and then there are Griselda Blancos. There are Pablo Escobars.
Both of those people got caught eventually. So you have a bad day. They got caught.
Listen, they got caught. They got caught because
both of them are dead.
They got caught because they were too good. My man James Graham said blasphemy. Superhead took pride in her work, and I concur.
She is a human being, so I know she had a bad day.
The work ethic.
We just never saw it.
Listen. Irv Gotti went on Drink Champs.
Irv Gotti's crazy as hell.
You got Lil Wayne, you got
Jada,
you got
Ja
Jay-Z, you got Ja Rule. There's no way that she bats 1,000 with everybody.
Listen, every Jay-Z song wasn't a hit.
No.
Okay?
No.
Every Jay-Z song was not a hit.
No.
Every beat that Primo made wasn't banging. You trying to say that Superhead's better than Jay-Z? No. You trying to say she can make better? You trying to say she can make better beats than Premier? No.
She's more consistent. Listen. Tricking is the oldest prostitution known to mankind, and you know what? That lady did it consistently and with pride.
Listen, if you or I can say that we've had bad performances, just like any other guy. We can understand that girls can have a bad performance.
No, I see. Here's the thing:
the double standard can't exist. Like
no.
We giving women, we can't give them these. We understand they're human. They fuck up.
I could say that because I'm not out here trying to smash for a living. Superhead.
I don't think Black China's trying to smash for a living.
Black China subsequently,
I think she got the 2 kids by the two Hollywood types, 2 entertainers. That's her living, and she tours clubs. She tours clubs.
Who's the second one?
She got a baby by Rob?
Kardashian is one,
and she got a baby by Tiger. That's why I say entertainment type.
He's a kid.
Entertainment types. That's just what I'm saying. It doesn't matter.
He was a little boy.
I don't care.
Her track record is trash.
Listen,
when we look at Corinne,
she's living off child support.
Stevens, she took down a professional.
Yeah, but once again. Her thing was fucking and then selling my story.
And so Black China did the same thing. She did that and she went on
Black
a
China was
show.
smarter because here's the thing. Once you sell her story, once Corinne sells the story, then what? She don't have no baby by a celebrity. She got a baby by a regular Joe. And you sell the story, now nothing.
Corinne Steffens.
She's got baby by celebrities. She's going to always get child support.
Corinne Steffens was savvy enough to cross the waters to mess with Bill Maher.
Yeah.
This is how consistent she was.
However, she ain't consistent now.
What I'm trying
I bet you she broke now.
No. Because Lil Wayne, to this day, she claims that Lil Wayne still takes care of her.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, right?
Lil Wayne can't keep his room clean.
Listen,
He can't take care of himself.
Listen, what I'm trying to say is consistently, Black China is the epitome of this generation. She lazy, not always on point. And when you look at Superhead, she was always ready, Freddy. Always ready, Freddy. Shout out to Superhead. But that was my ratchet conversation for the moment. Went to Europe this past week. Went to London, Paris, and Rome. I had been to London as a kid, been to Paris as a kid. Never been to Rome. London is like New York City. I say that as somebody being from New York. There's graffiti everywhere. I mean everywhere. When you come in from the east side of London, which looks very meek and it looks very poor to a degree, and then you get to the central side, you get to central London, and then you get to the west side of London, which is cities like you have towns like Angel. It's kind of like your upgraded place. Graffiti everywhere, but it looks very much like New York City. I knew what I was getting into when I went there. The sites are cool. Not many sites you can interact with other than the London Eye. Everything else you pretty much see. But I was able to experience the nightlife. I was able to go to the club in London, which was an experience. In Europe, they played nothing but old shit. It's like
Oh, what? Hip hop?
Old hip hop, old R&B. It's like you're in 94 to 98, maybe 2001, which is dope.
You talking about on the radio?
Nah, in the club. Like the DJ plays.
Was
Like,
you at a throwback party?
nah, no. I was at a
shit got there real late.
I was at a club that our good friend Kate and damn, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Kate was like my man Rich. So me and my lady walk up to this guy Rich. We're trying to go somewhere. We're trying to find a club.
Rich Dollars?
Not Rich Dollars. I would have known Rich Dollars. Rich Dollars and me would have had a good time, a good conversation. But my man Rich, he's kind of like, my lady described him as a Jack Sparrow type. His accent was very heavy, so you could barely hear what he was saying. And he was drunk when we met him. I literally walked up to him because he's like a 6'2", 6'3" guy, maybe like 170, maybe 180 soaking wet. You know, had a suit and a tie, undone. And I said, my man, the Uber was supposed to drop us. Actually, the taxi, we have an Uber or taxi. Shout out to Uber for seriously being very international. But we got dropped off, and the spot that we wanted to go to was not where we got dropped off. So I said, my man, can I get directions? So he proceeds to say, directions, and looks at me. I'm like, yeah. He calls up Kate, who's in the bar that he just left. Kate is his girlfriend at the time, and we're not knowing what's going on. He calls Kate and says, yo, I got these two Americans out here. They want to have a good time. And I said, nah, I just wanted directions. He's like, yeah, no problem. He hands the phone to me and walks into the restaurant to talk to Kate, who's on the phone, who's like, I'm not fucking with Rich, man. He's this, he's that. And I'm like, Kate, I don't know what y'all got going on, but I would feel more comfortable if you came out and talked to me to know that you're real and that this dude is not a creep. At this point, we're going on a leap of blind faith. We go in there. Kate is this like 5'5" brunette white girl, decent looking. She's like, I'm not messing with Rich, man. He's nothing. He's not shit. So Rich is like, buys us drinks. We all drinking. We getting shit faced, talking. We cool now. At this point, we cool now. Rich is like, let's go to the Dirty Martini, which we wind up seeing later on, which was actually closer to our hotel than the place that we went to. She's like, the Dirty Martini? Really? We're not going there. She takes us to this place called Gem. We get to Gem. I'm like, all right. We get in there, It's a black dude at the door. Kate knows the black dudes. Kate knows all the black dudes. I already kind of felt that vibe based on me and Kate's interaction. Because in London, there's a lot of interracial marriages, relationships, school people. I mean, every group of school children I saw was white people with black people. It was none of that. You know how you're somewhere, Diamond Kate, when you're the only black guy and it's a bunch of white people? But then you see another black guy, but then y'all make eye contact to be like, yo, I got you, you got me kind of thing.
Sure.
That doesn't happen in London. I'm talking about the city. I'm not talking about outskirts. It doesn't happen in London. The brothers there genuinely felt seemingly comfortable around the majority of white people they're around. Literally. Okay. So we get to the club. The head guy there is a black dude. He's like, yo, what's up, sis? Who's these people? These are my people from America. He's like, oh, come on in. We don't pay nothing. We get to the bar, shots, crazy. It's black people, it's white people in there partying. The DJ is rocking. He not playing nothing younger than 2002 at the minimum. I'm talking about old reggae. I'm talking about anything you could spin that says 2002 to 94. Everybody's rocking, man. And
it's all in English.
It's all our music. It's all music.
It's all our music.
It's no variations. It's nothing, and we getting it popping. And I meet a girl there who says she's an Instagram model, decent looking girl. Says she wants to come to America and do this and do that. And I said, look, man, I don't know that it is what you think it is, but she said I want to come to Baltimore. I said, it's the most violent city in America. I said, there's about 20 of you out here. I said, what you gonna do that's gonna be different? Next thing I know, she's on the bar doing splits. As she should. And it was amazing, man. It was amazing.
Sounds like it.
So then we go to Paris, and Paris is what I remembered it to be. We went to one place. So actually, when we get to Paris, we took the train, and then we get to the Eiffel Tower, stand in line. It's cold as shit. If you don't like heights, do not fuck with the Eiffel Tower. Just don't. It is one of the most dangerous feelings you can have because people don't realize Eiffel Tower is a massive structure. A massive structure. Over 200 feet easily. And it's not enclosed. It's not like the Empire State Building. It's not a building. When you're going up these elevators and they go up the sides of the Eiffel Tower, and they're only on two sides of the Eiffel Tower. There are sides that you walk up and there are sides that you take the elevator on. And it's an open elevator. You see everything. And you're riding up this old crank. And as the city gets higher and higher, you feel less and less protected. So then there's a first level that's kind of manageable, but you're up there. You're way up there. But then there's the peak of the tower. And the Eiffel Tower, if you look at it like that little sundial point, there is a platform. And when you get on this elevator to go to that platform, that elevator is much smaller than the original elevator you got up there on. And you're literally Diamond K in there with maybe 20 to 30 people naked. There's nothing stopping you if this thing decides to fall or malfunction. It is nothing between you and the floor and the outside world. And you get up there and it's so high and it's so cold. They have an encased portion and then they have a portion that's not encased. And all you are protected by are nets. And I'm telling you, we're in Paris and it's cold as hell and it's windy as hell and this shit is whipping you. And I'm like, I've been to this place as a kid at 13. And at 13, you fearless. You don't care. You don't know nothing. You don't know nothing about natural disasters and death. You might know some people that got shot and died, but ain't nobody shooting you on the Eiffel Tower, so you good, right? You think, hey, I'm good. There's white folk up here. There's black folk up here. There's teachers. There's classmates. I'm not going to fall. Man, I get on this shit now at 30 plus. I'm like, yo, get me down right now. I wanted to get down immediately. And the way down, you take that single elevator, then you take the next elevator. I was legit scared. Outside of Eiffel Tower, France had the Louvre. I've been to that museum. If you've been to one great museum, you've been to the Louvre. Highly overrated to me. Then there's the Arc de Triomphe, which Napoleon built for his soldiers in their triumph. I didn't know that you can actually go into that. You can go into that, but that overlooks the city. It was probably about 150 feet tall. What else is in Paris that we went to? Eiffel Tower. So Paris is a city. We get out of the Eiffel Tower. We got to use the bathroom. At this point, we don't want to wait for Uber because it's such a congested area. Taxis are trying to kill you by like $40, $50 upcharge. So we get on one of them taxi bikes, and this dude is rolling. And this dude, shout out to him, I don't remember his name, but he took us to this spot. It was called Cafe de Marche. And they had this duck confit, which was roasted duck with fried potatoes. The best shit I ever had in the world. So good, I wanted to go back there, but we didn't. And the food in other places was overrated. And like I was telling you, see, in London, the pound is worth more than $1 by like almost $20 difference to me. I could be wrong. I'm not giving you the correct schematics or correct logistics, but when it hit my account, what was 60 was like 80. You know what I mean? And then in France, the same thing with the euro, just a little bit less. And so in France, it was dumb expensive. And the people, the atmosphere, it just wasn't all of that. So then we went to Rome. And Rome was beautiful. Rome, you have the Vatican City. The Vatican has a museum in which you go to the Sistine Chapel. What people don't tell you is you have to literally walk to a designated area. If you're not already at the area to get into the Vatican Museum, you literally have to walk on the outskirts of the entire Vatican Museum, which is like 5 or 6 blocks. You get into the Vatican Museum, you see a lot of art and things that mean absolutely nothing to you if you are not about that. And the Sistine Chapel is literally the last thing you see. And they tell you when you get there, you can't take pictures. So you paid all this money to see this chapel. You've seen multiple places, and they tell you can't take pictures. Of course, most of the people in the room took pictures. But the tours, if you're there are tours. People on tours, they're giving different tours in different languages. Yo, it was such a long walk because it was such a massive structure. It was ridiculous. The Colosseum is unreal to see in person. Massive structure. There's an arc outside the Colosseum. Julius Caesar has his palace ruins out there, which was dope. You also see the Roman Forum where the Senate meets. You also see a place where Julius Caesar was killed. You also see there's this huge like type palace that was built that Benito Mussolini used when in time of World War II. Just a massive structure. The fountain that they have that's just in the city. It was a dope city, man. And I'm gonna tell you, man, the women out there, it's kind of like what I heard about Brazil on how you got models, 10 type joints, potentials working at gas stations. Out in Rome, you had model potential type joints serving you as their waiter. And there was this place called La Base that we went to every single night because it had American whiskey, it had great food, and it was cheap. Rome was love, man. Like, we went out there, we had a good time, and it was love. But shout out to the Italians in the Roman in the airport in Rome. When we got there, you didn't go through customs. You literally got out the airport, you walked around the airport, and then you literally exited the airport. I'd never seen anything like it. Nobody stopped you. Nobody said anything to you. Literally exited. But when you try to leave the country, they put you through one row of customs, another roll of a check, and even when you board your flight, they then proceed to check your passport and then check you again. So I was kind of backwards. It's like they didn't have a problem with you coming in, but they didn't want you to leave. And it was crazy because their military is everywhere in Rome. When it's a historic site, they have at least 2 guys on post with automatic weapons. But the police were very friendly. They're very cool. I saw people curse out the police for not knowing something, for not giving them directions. And I just said, man, it goes to show how in America we just have a different culture. The English pubs were very overrated. I went there and I wanted to have the beer there. It was not as good as our beer. It just was overrated. The food was overrated. But outside of that club, you know, London was pretty overrated. But I had a good time. And
Would you go back again?
I would go back to Rome again. Any day. I would go back to Rome again because Rome, when we were there, actually, it snowed for the first time in 26 years. And they said over the last 40 years, it's only snowed in Rome the last 40 years, it only snowed in Rome 4 times. And when you go out there, they have palm trees. You can just tell the whole flavor is a city where it's warm. They like to eat outside. I mean, it's a nice place. We wanted to go to the ice bar, but it was closed. But I had a good time, man. Like, Rome was just a nice place. We went to this place in the center of the city that had all you can eat food for literally 20 euros. It was 10 euros a piece, and it was all you can eat food. The only problem with that place was their bathroom wasn't working. You know, because after a while, it starts to pile up. But it was definitely dope, man. I would definitely recommend anybody that's going to Europe, go to Rome, check it out. If you're going to London or Paris, decide which place you want to stay. I would recommend staying in London on the outskirts, like in a city like Camden or Angel, where you got street vendors and street food, because they had some good street food out there. They had some decent clubs and nightlife. But somewhere like Paris, I would take the train there for a day. Actually, I forgot to mention the Palace of Versailles, which was Louis XIV's palace. Mm-hmm. It's a massive structure. So you're talking about this place that you get to it, and there's nothing but, so Louis XIV has this massive statue sitting out in the front, and there's nothing but cobblestone until you get up there. And it has massive gates. I want to say they 20-foot tall gates of gold. And you get in there, and it's like halls and space. It's just amazing. The artwork, everything. The Palace of Versailles is definitely something to see. It's literally like a 20 to 30 minute Uber ride outside of Paris. If you take the train, it's an hour ride because of all the stops. But Louis XIV's backyard sits on 800 acres of land. That is more than double the amount of acres at the DC National Mall.
Is it?
Yes. The DC National Mall sits on 329 acres. Louis XIV's backyard had 800 acres. And when you look at this joint, it was never ending. It was to the point where it had 3 medium-sized ponds in the backyard. It was amazing, you know, and that was in my first time being there. But as an adult, to see the landmass was just amazing. So if you go to Paris, you have to see Versailles. If you're not going to wine country and all of that, if you go to Paris, take a little day. If you're not afraid of heights, go on the Eiffel Tower. If you are remotely afraid of heights, do not take your ass in the Eiffel Tower. You will literally panic. It is that real. It's that tall. It's that open to where you're going to feel afraid. But if you have a little time, go up in there. Definitely see the Paris sights, and definitely go to Versailles. Moving on. Wanted to talk about Black Panther, man. Because before Black Panther came out was the last time I had the show. And the day that I actually went to go see Black Panther, we had the show. Breaking records. Phenomenally done. Action, comedy, just great for black people and black culture. Like I told you off air, when the first Captain America came out, I was one of the few comic fans that said Black Panther deserves a film. Because if you're gonna have at the time I said Black Panther just needs to be on screen, let alone a film. Because if you're gonna have Captain America, you have to have Black Panther. Black Panther is so essential to Captain America, and the fact that his shield alone was given to him in Wakanda. So Black Panther's doing numbers, almost $1 billion in its first couple of weeks. Amazingly done, written well. I've gone on a limb to say this is the best film that Marvel has done to date. I believe that it is definitely most successful. I believe that is the best comic-based film done to date. I believe that it's the best because it trumps the dark.
Marvel or DC.
Marvel or DC. Yeah. And I'm a bipartisan guy. If Marvel and DC were comics, I'd be a bipartisan guy. Dark Knight series was the best that Batman had to offer, but it operated in a reality that didn't fully expand on the powers of the villains and the tech and the prowess of Batman. You didn't have villains with superpowers. The Dark Knight series didn't have villains with superpowers. It didn't have.
Yeah, and I think that was good because that's what made it more realistic.
Yes, I agree with that to a degree, but it also takes away, if you're talking about the fully, it took from a specific set of books from Batman, and I get that. But when I wanted to see is what I see with they're doing now with the superhero aspect, with the Superman, with the Wonder Woman. I want to see that fully played out. And I say that to say Black Panther by far was the best comic book movie done thus far. It's one of the most accurate ones that Marvel has ever done. Marvel has been incredibly inaccurate to his comics thus far, and nobody's wanted to call him out on it. But Black Panther has been up there. But not only that, it's raised a lot of discussion in the black community about who is really better, T'Challa or Killmonger. Firstly, let me just say, they created a big deviation and variation of Killmonger from the comics. Killmonger in the comics was not socially conscious about other people. He didn't give a damn. All he wanted to do was burn the throne of Wakanda for exiling his family. So let's just get that straight. It's not comic based, but all you people that don't know nothing about comics, we'll take your arguments. The big thing now is on a community level, who was the villain? T'Challa in the throne or Eric Killmonger? I still say Killmonger, in the sense that there were subtle moments that T'Challa said, he became the very people that he hated. He became the colonizers. He became the CIA, and if you think about it, Coogler was very smart. Being from Oakland, basing Killmonger being from Oakland, it was pretty funny how Killmonger was raised and not raised, but trained by the very same people that took down the Black Panthers of America, which is exactly what Killmonger set out to do. He infiltrated and took out that organization. I found that to be very subtle and very dope to a point, and I don't know that Coogler really wanted to do that, but that's what I took from it. Overall, man, movie was amazing. Comedy, action, blackness, embodiment of the comic book, simply amazing, man. It is amazing. I don't know where they're gonna go with a second one. I know there's gonna be a second one. I think because of the success and the tone that it's setting going into the Infinity Wars, Marvel has now bumped up Infinity Wars to April 27th, which is dope. I will have to say this. Black Panther soundtrack by Kendrick Lamar was some pure garbage. Garbage.
No, it was banging.
The only two songs I love on that album that I played on repeat was Pray For Me with The Weeknd and The Stars with SZA. Other than that, Kendrick Lamar completely missed the point of having a theme-based soundtrack. And I think Kendrick Lamar is on the status of that of a Jay-Z, where he has so many stands and so many people, they feel he's untouchable from criticism. This soundtrack was some trash. If you look at it, a themed-based soundtrack should be your bread and butter. At a time where Jay-Z was being questioned about whether or not he could put out good music, he jumped on the American Gangster soundtrack and made a banger. Arguably one of his best albums, because he stuck to the theme. The blue magic, the nightlife, the American gangster, the talking about the plight of the American gangster. This the shit you dream about with the homies steaming out. Yo, he killed that. When I listened to the Kendrick Lamar joint, he just went too left with it. And I think he's at a point where he's so artistic in his own wave of just being an eclectic artist. It's only good to the people that likes that. That like that. Like, I remember when Kendrick was featured on Game's Red album, and, you know, that verse was by far his hardest to date. That hunger that he had. Yo, he was killing it on that Game album. On that Red album, that verse, that was his debut verse to the outside Compton world. I miss that Kendrick that is constantly rapping with hunger and just focus. This Black Panther joint, he was all over the place. I wondered at times, did he even watch the damn movie? You know, it was just crazy to me. It was too eclectic. It was too out there. It wasn't themed enough for me. The Pray For Me joint with The Weeknd was dope. The SZA joint was dope. Them joints been on repeat for me. Other than that, I tried to sit through the album time and time again. I think Kendrick just blew that one. He blew it. I think he blew it. That's where I'm at with it. Is what it is. But speaking of black comic shows, black comic movies, I was able to catch up after being over the pond on Black Lightning. Black Lightning deserves your attention, black people. If you supported Black Panther for just being black, you never watched comic movies or shows, you need to turn to the CW every night at 9 p.m. on Tuesday to catch Black Lightning. Black Lightning is DC Comics' first black hero, being played by the brother from Living Single who was dating Queen Latifah. Can't think his name right now off the top of my head. But he epitomizes Jefferson Pierce, who was a black man, principal in the hood, raised in the hood, trying to clean up the streets in the classroom, and as a superhero who has two beautiful black daughters. China Anne McClain is one. Can't think of the other young lady's name, but she actually went to school with me at one point. Serving as these two daughters. They're dope. It's a black show. And I'm talking about every week they bring in to you black themes, black problems, black life. If you loved Black Panther, support Black Lightning. Go watch that show on the CW every Tuesday at 9 p.m. All I can say is it's a dope show. My man Michael Rappaport ended his relationship and the contractual ties with Barstool Sports. And I'm a big fan of Michael Rappaport. Big fan of his podcast. One of the best out there, bar none. I wasn't feeling the whole Barstools vibe. I said this to myself a long time ago. I feel like a lot of them guys over at Barstool Sports have the good old boy country mentality. And I felt like Michael Rappaport was suffering. A lot of the times the execs there were getting mad at him because he spoke out openly about Trump and his disdain for Trump. Most recently he talked about the lady that commented on LeBron and KD's video. Shout out to Michael Rappaport for still killing them, getting rid of Barstool Sports. I won't be following them. They don't have any shows that are entertaining to me after he's gone. It is what it is. Shout out to Michael Rappaport in freeing himself from Barstool Sports. Lastly, to wrap it up, my girl, Mary J, saying she's in debt, owing people some money, didn't own the masters to her music, all of the above. And we were talking off air on how many of the artists suffered the same fate from her time period. I think it's tragic. I think it's sad that till this day she hasn't sought legal help to get those masters. A lot of artists like Nori, have gone back to try to get it and are successfully getting it. Clearly, she sold a lot more, so it's not going to be as easy. But I think it's a damn shame that she's claiming not broke, but she's claiming that she's in debt to a lot of people and how not owning her masters has affected her career. I feel like Mary, at the point in her career, should be untouchable. She should be out there in the waves where nobody can touch her. She's delivered some great hits, man. I mean, great hits. Queen of hip hop soul. There's no reason that she shouldn't be, well off, taken care of. And a lot of artists wind up in that situation. And unfortunately, they haven't learned the business until it was too late. That leads me to question where the game is going. Everything is being streamed.
But let's also keep in mind this. Lisa Marie Presley is getting ready to go through the same thing Mary J's going through.
Wow.
Her ex or soon to be ex-husband is trying to get a big amount of money from her. Mm-hmm. They have a young child that was taken from their custody.
She got it.
And she's crying broke.
Mm-hmm.
So she was left the Elvis Presley estate.
Yes.
Sold 85% of it. So she just had the other 15%, and she's trying to say that her accountant didn't pay taxes and stole money, and all she has left is about $14,000 and $500,000 in credit card debt. And
$500,000.
Yep, and that's all she got. So Elvis Presley estate makes about $5 million a year, so she still gets some of that. But both instances, the guy is trying to get support,
right,
and get legal fees paid and get some type of spousal support, and both women are crying broke.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, and it's an interesting dynamic. It goes back to that double standard, that flippage of, what people can get away with and what they can do. I feel it's sad, man. I mean, and it leads me to question, aside from that, just musically with all of the independent artists and everything going on, where's the game going? I watched the rap game with Jermaine Dupri, who's been doing this for like 4 seasons. 4 seasons. Why he airs on Lifetime, I still don't understand.
Because they gave him the deal.
They gave him the deal, and I would have thought that somebody else would, from the culture, quote unquote, air quotes, would have offered him a deal. But I mean, he produces really talented kids on his show. You don't really see too much from the past winners outside of YouTube and different venues. But I'm really wondering where the future of the rap label is really going to be in like 2 or 3 years. People are trying to move units independently. And it's just not the same feeling to me. You know, when you knew that on Tuesday, you know, a new album was dropping and you got to the store and you copped it. You know, a cassette, you copped it. You did what you did, you copped the single. It's just not the same anymore to me. And I don't know how the artists are really going to be affected by this and the streaming and all of this other stuff. But, hey.
They got to play the game. Mm-hmm. Can't get stuck in the past. You got to be willing to pivot and move as styles change, as the way people, obtain music. And you can't be stuck in the past. You got to be willing to move with things. And you got to have an independent mindset. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, people going to break a lot of your money off, and then you're going to turn around 10 years from now and not have what you think you're supposed to have.
Absolutely. And I also question, what is the fate in the future of the DJ, of the real DJ? Because I was overseas, and like I said, they played nothing but old music. Nothing new was spinning, and the DJ was actually rocking. He wasn't putting on, a mix and just leaving it. He was actually trying to scratch, mix, and do his thing. And this was at the spot, Dirty Martini, that we were supposed to go out to. But, it was crazy, man. Like, what is the real status of the DJ? Like outside of Khaled and everyone else, how much of the DJ is the DJ being appreciated? Outside of the DJ on tour that does the sound and everything like that, with people going independent and having these platforms, how big of a deal is the DJ to say, I'm gonna bump this in your club, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that? Like, are people even paying attention to that anymore? How pivotal, how crucial the DJ used to be, and how crucial and pivotal the DJ still can be, and still is in the lives of many of us from that era. Just some food for thought. But it's been a good time. I was supposed to have somebody accompany me today. They flaked out on me, man, and hopefully Jennifer will be back soon. But we're here at RadioOnFire.com, home of the Diamond K Morning Show. New episodes streaming daily at 9 a.m. Calling number is always 404-436-1277. And today's broadcast was brought to you in part by the brand new reality series, Chase the Dream Baltimore. Watch a group of talented recording artists navigate through life, love, and the entertainment business. New episodes stream every Monday at 12 noon on YouTube, or visit facebook.com/Chase the Dream now. Radio on Fire broadcast reaches over 278,000 viewers per month. Advertise your product, service, or event on Radio on Fire by sponsoring an episode of The Speakeasy for as low as $50. Visit radioonfire.com/promo to get started. If you want to see any past episodes of The Speakeasy, visit radioonfire.com to watch us on demand. Click radio shows and the name of our show. See any past episodes. It's been cool. It's been a few weeks since I've been on air, man. Get good to knock the rust off and get back into it. Good to be back in the States with crazy Agent 45, Donald Trump, running the world, running the country. It's been crazy, but stay vigilant, my people. Keep your head on the swivel. And we out, man. Speak easy. Peace.